Mercedes Viana Schlapp, who grew up with Cuban parents who emigrated from Cuba. What did you make of MSNBC's Chris Matthews saying that Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio from your hometown of Miami are not really Hispanics or shouldn't be called Hispanics?
Yeah, I mean, as a Cuban American, I find it incredibly insulting, offensive, almost ignorant to a certain extent, because when you look at Hispanics in general, it's those that come from basically Spanish descent and speak the Spanish language. And the fact that they want to just isolate the Cuban Americans from that group, again, it's just, I find that it's something that anyone who's been involved in Hispanic, Latino politics knows that the Cubans, as well as the Mexicans, we all fall into that pot. And so
that doesn't mean there's a monolith, that they all think or vote the same way.
Right. But he's trying to make that point of differentiating the fact that almost like Cruz and Rubio are not Hispanic enough. And this has happened to me as well. I mean, I went and responded to a Latino online, they called themselves a news online place. And guess what? They basically said that I was not brown enough. And that was incredibly
So now it's the
insulting.
color of your skin?
It's the color of the skin. It's the fact that I'm Cuban American, that how could I possibly relate to someone who is non-Cuban? And that's, you know, we all have our stories, the immigrant stories. I know my father came to the United States, did not even have a dollar in his pocket, had to build his businesses, did not speak the English language, had to learn the English language. And so the fact that they want to create this division amongst Hispanics, I think is just not the way to go.
To ask an obvious question, when somebody says you're too white or you're not really a Latina, given that you are the product of an immigrant family.
Well, and I didn't learn English till I was 6 years old, until I went to kindergarten.
Could have fooled me.
Well,
how did that make you feel?
Well, again, I thought it was very, it was very offensive, and I think.
Do you push back?
Oh, absolutely, I push back. You always make the case of, look, my parents came to the United States in search of a better life, like many immigrants have come to this country. To really say that we're not Hispanic enough, we're not brown enough, I think that again it just divides our nation, our group. It's not healthy in any way.
So when Chris Matthews said that perhaps Cruz and Rubio should be referred to as Cuban nationals or guys with Spanish surnames, what do you think he was trying to say?
Well, again, I think Chris Matthews was trying to say that they're not Hispanic enough. It goes back to the idea that how could they possibly relate to the Mexican immigrant story? And when you hear the stories of Senator Cruz and Senator Marco Rubio, their families really they came over. Rubio says the story of the bartender, his father being the bartender, the mother being the maid, and again trying to live the American dream. And so I think it's just unfortunate that we want to create this division.
I think it was a really weird thing to say, and I didn't understand it at all, but I understand it a little bit better now from talking to you. We're back here next week with more After the Buzz.